Hello. I thought it would be interesting to review the Rwandan scheme of Braverman in the context of the failed Rwandan scheme of Israel, because we keep hearing about this, but we don't seem to know very many details about it. So here is what I know, or at least this is a rough approximation of what I know. We may have to do a few more of these videos to try and get in all the details. We know that the Rwandan deal is wrong because it is couched in deceit. And what's interesting is the Israeli system, the Israeli Rwandan deal, is also couched in deceit. Now, the British deceit, the deceit which is peddled by Rishi Sunak, by Suella Braverman, by Priti Patel, by all of them, Robert Jenrick, is that we are supporting migrants, is that we are stopping the smugglers, is that we are protecting innocent people. We are stopping people dying on the channel. But in reality, it is a Manichaean cult that has been created about us and them. And I think the experience of COVID has increased that black and white imagery. The refugees are presented as invaders, they are dehumanized, they are cast as a statistic. Now, we've seen it all before, that's the point. Braverman is too lazy to have any real ideas of her own. And the Israeli Rwandan or Ugandan deal was couched in a similar language of deceit. In that case, it was presented as the language of choice, but there was no choice. It was either detention or deportation, your decision. Detention in the Saphorounim prison, or deportation with $3,500 in your pocket with a ticket to an unnamed destination, to what in effect was migrant limbo. Now, most of the target group in Israel were Eritrean and Sudanese asylum seekers, making the whole policy a dereliction of duty and potentially a policy predicated on racism. The dehumanizing language that was favored by the Israeli government was to call these refugees, these asylum seekers, infiltrators. And the other way in which we know that this was wrong is that the Rwandan and the Ugandan deals were done covertly, and there was every effort made to suppress wider knowledge and information about this deal. But look at it from a slightly different point of view. Israel at that time, and still today, had a GDP 50 times that of Rwanda, 55 times that of Uganda. And the Ugandan refugee population, even at the time when Israel made its agreement, was 20 times greater than that of Israel. We could make similar and very, very worrying comparisons between Rwanda's GDP and Britain's. In other words, this is colonialism at its worst in all but name. If we go back to the Israeli situation, of the 15,200 applicants for refugee status, Israel accepted and gave refugee status to 15. 12, actually. To 12. Sorry, my mistake. I was being overgenerous. Out of 15,200 asylum seekers, Israel recognized 12. It's astonishing. And in 2018, the Israeli Supreme Court found that the government's policy was incompatible with the 1951 Convention. Well, anyone could have said that. The UK deal attempts to put a sticking plaster, that is all, on the Israeli solution. So, the Braverman position is to attack not the 1951 Convention, which is rather stupid because that's still there, but to attack the European Court of Human Rights, and to stop the European Court of Human Rights restricting air flights. So by the time the refugees or the asylum seekers got out of our airspace, it's then very difficult to make a case for them to come back in because they don't belong here. So, and that is her solution. It's a legal fudge. That's one. The second one is it compels Rwanda to deal with the incoming refugees formally by giving them money and by ensuring that there is accommodation, at least for the initial stage. They cannot just move these asylum seekers on as they did with the Israeli victims. Most of the Israeli victims were taken for a fee, so they extracted another $500 from these people to the Ugandan border. It meant many refugees then went from Uganda up to Europe and even into the UK. This is how we know about the problem. It transferred the problem, and that really is what we're doing with the Rwandan scheme. We're going to be transferring the problem. That is something that Suella Braverman has not managed to do, because all she can do is rely on Rwanda to do what it said it's going to do, and Rwanda has a very poor track record of being trustworthy. It's also, incidentally, in a war, in a de facto war with DCR Congo. And the second issue makes it significantly worse, because the second solution, the thing which we're going to flavour the pill, the sugar on the pill, the spoonful of sugar, is that Rwanda trades its refugees for ours. So effectively we become party of Paul Kagame's efforts to continue his own racist policies against the Hutu minority. We are facilitating ethnic cleansing. And more than that, it means that it's not about reducing the number of refugees in our country, but about sending a message, and messages don't work because messages don't get to the people who should be receiving them. Messages might get to the smugglers, but the smugglers are not going to be deterred. They're simply going to smuggle more people. The desperate people are already desperate enough to risk life and limb, to risk death on the English Channel and probably also across the Mediterranean. They are risking death because it is worse to stay where they are. The only real solution to this is not to give money to Rwanda, but to give money and to give help, to give targeted help to the places from where these refugees come. And that essentially was the message given by Michael Heseltine the other day. Michael Heseltine is right, Suella Braverman is wrong, but who's surprised by that? Michael Heseltine, by the way, has not always been right. I'm not a Michael Heseltine fan. And I could be a Suella Braverman fan, I suppose, but certainly not at the moment. At the moment, I think she is slipping at great speed, not towards error, but towards evil. Her policy of deceit, her policy of dehumanizing, is not simply politically bad, it is evil. And it's the same sort of policies that we have seen in history before, and I don't need to indicate where. So that's a rough summary of the Israeli attempt to do the Rwanda thing, and Suella Braverman has effectively copied that and, as I say, tried to put a sticking plaster on the bits that have gone wrong. But her sticking plaster is literally an illusion. It's not going to hold things together. But that's what sticking plasters tend not to do. You don't use a sticking plaster when your foot is dangling off, do you?